Hey all, it's Tom. You're going to be getting some background noise, so, just be waiting for it. But this is going to be kind of a long video. Now, when I used to say that I go out for weeks and stuff at a time, which was true, but at the time I had a job that was flexible. Sometimes 4 or 5 months a year is all I worked. So I'd work 4 or 5 months a year, make 50, 60 grand, and the rest of the year was hunting, fishing, doing what I wanted to. But for 4 or 5 months a year, I didn't know if I was coming home every day, so it's a trade-off. So that's how I used to be able to go out for weeks at a time, and I would sometimes go with friends of mine that I worked with, and we would go, like I said, weeks at a time. We'd be, resupplied by different people or whatever. And it wasn't that we were running, exploration missions for people or nothing like that. It was just decompression time. It was just time to sit in the woods with our gear and decompress and not have people shooting at us, not be shooting at people. And, if we got up in the morning and there was a creek full of trout, then we fished. If there was game, we hunted. If whatever. If we wanted to work on our primitive skills, we did that too. So it was 4 or 5 years of my life that was deathly scary, but yet great. It was a weird period of time. Seemed like forever, but honest to God, it was 5 years is nothing in a lifetime. So that's what I used to do. We were security for military units, and while they were running their patrols and whatnot, we secured the base. They called us operators. So anyway, it's another story in history and page in our lifetime, right? So, now, when I go out for these weeks on end, or a week on end, or whatever, the knives that I carried with me was very different than the knives that I would use on an everyday basis. The gear I carried was completely different. The gear I would carry would be bomb-proof, military surplus. You couldn't break it if you shot it. And we have shot some of our gear up just to see if they'd hold up, and it, held up great. So, them kind of days when I'd be out there in them fields, I had like I had my K-bar. I had a Gerber Guardian. For 1 year until it got stolen, I had a Parrish. Oh, crap. Oh, I had a Parker I May 633. It was a hollow handle survival knife that you couldn't kill. I had a Wilderness Explorer I carried at times. Now, these are what I call medium duty knives. They were there to do your game processing, your fishing, your camp chores, your blah, blah, blah. My heavy duty knives, which would be like, I had an SP5 survival Bowie, stuff like that. Now, they were heavy duty knives. You could beat these knives through, brick walls. And we've done it. There used to be courses where guys would literally take their knives and climb walls with just stabbing them into things. See if we could bang through brick with them. See if we could, stand on them, climb trees with them. And I have seen a lot of, Benchmades and blackjacks. Not SOG. What was that other one? Cold Steels. I've watched guys climb the side of the building by pounding them in with a hammer and climbing them like a ladder. So that was another one of my heavy-duty knives, was a Cold Steel SRK. A Sam Mai when it first came out. So I had a lot of heavy-duty knives, I had some medium-duty knives, and I had a lot of light-use knives. including gear. I mean, I had, the gear was the same way. If I was going out for 2 weeks, I ain't going to take my overnight camping kit pack with me. So I had 3 different types of gear. I had, okay, we're going camping for a weekend. I had, okay, we're going for a week. And then I had, well, I don't know when we're coming back. And believe me, usually my I don't know when we're coming back consisted of a 10-22. But, 5 or 6 30-round clips and 500 rounds of ammo. God only knows what we ran into out there. One would carry a 22, one would carry a shotgun. We were set. We had our sidearms. We were traveling good. So that's a lot of, what people ask me about, how the hell did you get time to go out for weeks at a time? And, well, that's how I did it. I was making 50 to 60 grand a year for, like I said, 3, 4, 5 months work a year. But in 3, 4, 5 months work, you never knew if you were coming home the next day. So when you got that time off, you decompressed before you took it out on people at the house or your life. So there's a little insight into a background. Now, with that being said, we went through my heavy duty, light duty stuff, and I still have, to this day, my heavy duty knives, my light duty knives, which was like, okay, heavy duty would be like my K-bar, my William Collins, my Columbia River Seal Tack, my couple of Ontarios that are tucked away, specifically an SP-53 and an SP-8. The SP-8 is the flat one. It looks like a machete with no tip. You can't kill these knives. So they're tucked away in case I ever need a heavy duty knife. So now in everyday life I use medium duty blades. That's all you need. You don't need a heavy duty blade. You need a medium duty, something that's going to cover your hunting, fishing, camping, bushcrafting chores. I call them medium duties. I don't forget, in the days on Taka, we didn't have Essies, we didn't have Hunglisses, we didn't have Essies, we didn't have, Clark Rivers, we didn't have stuff like that. You didn't have Buseys. What was that, tops? We didn't have any tops. None of them knives were around, right? So they would be your heavy use knives. Now, medium duty knives. My medium duty knife is usually, to be honest with you, I prefer stainless steel. I'm in the woods. I can get it wet. It can be rained down for 2-3 days. I don't have to worry about it. If I clean a fish, I don't have to re-oil and re-sharpen and everything. I prefer a 44 or a 440 HC, something with a 55 to 57 hardness that's easy to sharpen. I can pick up a rock out of the creek, sharpen my knife. I don't prefer honed edges. What do they call them? Stropped edges. Stropped edges easy to knock off. They're polished. They're very fine. They're easy to. I prefer a field edge. If it's got a little grit going through paper, but it still cuts fine, that's fine by me. That's a field edge, and that's what I want on my knives. I don't want something that's paper thin I can shave with, because I'm going to lose it in 10 minutes after losing it in the woods, and then I'm going to be back to a field edge. But if I do have a carbon blade with me, I prefer something that's easily sharpened. Like I said, 55 to 58. Something big that I'm going to be hacking with, 52 to 55, because it has a lot of bending strength. So, like I said, I prefer medium duty knives. Hunting knives, stuff like that, because I don't baton, and when I do baton, you see me, just pound it with your hand, get it started, So, now light duty knives is what I consider to be like your typical SAK or SAK multi-tools. I don't like multi-tools. Um, Stuff like that. Light duty knives, pocket knives, heavy duty pocket knives, regular pocket knives, and I tend more to be vintage rather than, today's tactical. Why? Because that's just the way I am. I'm a vintage type person, and some guys are tactical. I recently was looking at a Benchmade bug out. Great knife. But it just doesn't fit my personality. It didn't feel good. It didn't look good. I've had a lot of Ontario rat folders, phenomenal folders. I had a rat 2 that had a little bit bigger blade and assisted opening. Beautiful knife. It just wasn't me. So when you see me with my trappers, that's what I'm used to using. That's what I've been using most of my life. And, you see me with a hunting knife like that little carbon steel with the bone handle knife I just had the last video. That's my type of knife. If I'm going into the woods for a day or, even an overnight, maybe 2 or 3. That's my type of knife to take in the woods. Or, like I said, a 440 like, a Frost. If you break a Frost, you're out $20. You break some of my other knives, you're out hundreds. I'm not going to break $100 knives. I'm going to break a $30 Frost. So my preferred method of carry is having a big blade, anything over 7 inch, for light chopping, up to medium duty chopping. I prefer to have a secondary knife for skinning animals and whatnot. Now, with the advent of the different SAKs and stuff that's come out, I have a hunter model and I have a rucksack model and I also have a huntsman model. So between that and a heavy duty knife, I've got all my bases covered. Or a good big pocket knife will cover your medium duty, and a small blade will cover your light duty kind of deal. So this is how I do things. Not from well, I can't afford this, I can't. I've got good knives. No big deal. But I just don't see any sense of beating the crap out of them. If I bust, like I have a William Collins here that William gifted me many years ago. It's a prototype. If I take that out and use it, and I do, but I break it, I've just ruined the prototype. If I take my old K-bar out and I bust her up, I just ruined a ton of memories. So why do that when, you can get a knife with just as good quality and do just as much for half the price? Or buy a new K-bar if that's what you prefer, or buy an Ontario. Or a Case or a Camillus, any of them. Like I said before, I have a Gerber Prodigy. I'll guarantee you that knife will stand up against any knife. That goes in the woods with me 90% of the time, because that's a beating of a knife. But that's just what I look for when my standards of knives are. And to answer some questions that have been asked privately by different people. So it's up to you how you want to do it. Of course, it's always up to you. It's always your opinion. That's just how I did things. And how I still do things. If you see me out in the field tomorrow hunting, I'm probably going to have a hunting knife on me. Not a major club that you're going to beat through a tree. If you see me out tomorrow camping and I'm gone for a week or whatever, then you might see a bigger knife and a better knife. Not that you'll ever see me gone for a week again, but if you did, So some of the knives I'm going to be bringing you are medium duty knives. Some of them are incredibly ugly. But boy, did they work. So that's just my opinion on things. You make your own opinion. Make your own opinions. I've seen a lot of videos in the last couple of days where there's people out there with a $10 hatchet that they bought at a Tractor Supply, doing the same thing that other guys do with $200 hatchets. See one kid out there, he's living in a dugout, and he has a knife, and I believe it's an old Frost Flying Falcon. It's like a $10 Frost knife, and he does everything with it. So, your opinion, you try them out and see what you think. So this is Tom. I want to thank you for your time and your patience. Hope this answered some questions. And we'll see you guys on the next one, hopefully with less bugs.